What's up everyone, welcome to another video. Today we'll be taking a look at LoueMT's Sofa Archer style that we saw in the grand finals of EGC Masters Summer, where he beat Marine Lord using this. Now I do want to preface this saying that Malians is a pretty complicated civ. A lot of the times you'll be playing defensively in Feudal Age, and this means that if you look at a build like this, such as Sofa Archer, it's very conditional. Like, it's situational that your opponent goes 2DC, which will allow you to play greedy like this and use this style. Otherwise, you'll often have to revert back, if you're being attacked early, to doing something like Spear, Jab, and you won't be able to get a fast second pit mine, which we are about to see. With that in mind, we are now going to go and watch how he is playing Malians. I think it's really, really interesting. It's especially greedy, which is something that you can do if your opponent's going 2DC. So there is that distinction. I will, of course, leave the build order from this replay analysis in the description below so you can follow along and practice it on your own. Just keep that in mind that you are going to have to be careful about what your opponent's doing. Scout them well early so that you don't get caught off guard by aggression. Anyhow, so what is he doing? Well, he's doing what we saw in Season 9, I believe it was. Was it in EGC Masters Winter? It might have been, where we started seeing this 7-house opener from Malians, and it was very common because it played well into playing Pro Scouts. And so that's already there, a point of adaptability. So you can play Pro Scouts with this build, but you don't have to. So what he does is he's putting 5 on the main wood here, the first straggler tree. He gathers that and goes back to food. And then he has one more, so this is the 7th villager, so the first one on the TC at 20 seconds. That's going on the second straggler tree, and that villager is gathering a 25 wood. So you can say 125 out of 150. It's important you don't delete any of these straggler trees early on. And yeah, so basically he just gets 7 houses that way. And yeah, it's pretty good. Gives you a pop, and you save idle time from going back again and building more. So that the only building you're going to be building here later is going to be a mining camp. That's why we don't go for 8 or something like that. So that's really the opener, basically. 7 houses, then rest on wood. Sorry, food. Get back with sheep before 2.5 minutes, I would say. Maybe 2 minutes. It's quite food heavy. You consume quite a lot of food by playing this style. Just keep that in mind that you will run out of food and maybe have a couple of villagers idle before you can age up. So drop some sheep off early. Alright, so this is a build that's really good against 2DC. Now, he doesn't know yet that his opponent is going 2DC. So the opener here, as we can see, is quite adaptable. You can do that into defensive units, no second pit mine. You can do it into Pro Scouts. You can do it into what we're about to see, which is Cows, second pit mine, and Warrior Scout harassment. I really love this build because it's such an active build order that is really, really good, buying you time to greed. And that's the whole point of this build. Notice how he took that villager, gathered 10 gold, and then went back again. Little small point of optimization. Alright, so now, coming back with sheep here at about 245, I think. The sheep are going to go back. He had a few more early on, I believe. Age is up at 240. 6 villagers. So 6 villagers on the age up, then 4 on food, so he can have constant villager production. And then sends rest to wood until about 12 on the wood. He's going to gather 50 wood, and then he's going to go to the wood line afterwards. Wood line being where he's going to have most of his villas for this game. We're going to see huge macros on towards wood, especially early on in Castle Age and leading up to Castle Age. If you have a huge cow transition, so let's say you have more than 12 cows, maybe 18 cows like we're about to see. You don't really need anyone on food for your transition. You can get a lot more production, which is really one of the main things about Malians, is that you're going to float a lot of food if you're gathering it and you have a lot of cows. I recommend going up to about 12 cows if you're up against fast castle or aggression. So just slowly get the cows or get them fast. And if you're up against 2DC, just max out. Get 18 cows, have 2 that you can consume. Yeah. Stop, something like that. Alright, so now we're gonna get up. We're gonna get double broadaxe immediately. You can see the macro is almost Pro Scout macro. So you could just build a mill and get Pro Scouts. It wouldn't be the fastest Pro Scout. It would be 10-20 seconds delayed from the fastest probably. But you want to be adaptable as well and not put all your money in what should you say? I forgot the saying, but you know what I mean. Just don't overcommit, right? Because if you overcommit to one strat and you get countered, you're just dead. Anyway, so he sees his opponent is gathering stone. It's a pretty large amount of vills on stone, so he knows it's going to be second TC. Also, there's only one cistern. So one cistern gives you 12% gather rate, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 10%, sorry. 10% gather rate, so they always get that early on as a nice bonus to the whole economy. And then the Byzantines will always go heavy on stone afterwards. So with that in mind, he knows his opponent's going to go to town center. There's only 2 villagers on the winery as well, so he's trying to match that eco. We can see Marine Lord here, macroing towards that second TC. Very common against Malians to either play very aggressive or take a safer approach and play 2 town center if you're more comfortable playing late game against them. And we are seeing the 2 best players in the world here battle it out, so definitely no slouches in the late game. These guys are filthy good at playing long games, and that's what it takes to become a good player. The higher up you go, level-wise, the better you gotta be at late game. Yeah, you can get certain amount of elo points, you can get certain, what should you say? You can get as long as you can get with aggression in tournaments, but there's a reason that some of the most aggressive players almost never make it to the grand finals. And that's just because this style here is so damn difficult. And yeah, of course it looks simple right now, but you know, it's definitely harder to play long games than short games. Let's put it that way. All right, so what did we miss so far? So at 5 minutes, we had a move out. 5 minutes was a move out onto the pit mine. And here at about 4 minutes and 15 seconds, we had double broadaxe coming through. And then we started making cattle. So we have 1 ranch right now. That 1 ranch is gonna be just how you're gonna naturally scale your economy. At about 6 minutes, you're gonna start putting bills to gold. So we start with 3, and then we add up to 5, and you can start making sofa that way. You're gonna get a lot of passive gold from the pit mines, as you can see, multiple bills worth, and this is gonna give you your eco. When you see something like 2 town center, you can play a bit of aggression and feudal. It's very common for the Chinese players at the moment to play 2DC aggro, which is basically what this is as well. It's aggression in at the same time that you're doing greed, because it can slow the game down a lot, and that can give you time to build up more economy behind it. But yeah, so warrior scouts, no pro scouts of course, just getting wheelbarrow and horticulture here. So wheelbarrow coming through now. So 7 cows, then wheelbarrow, and he's on the deer out here as well, so he has the map control to do so, which is what is really nice with his warrior scouts harass. Very active game he's playing here. He's forcing spearmen now, and he's just taking these fights against the spearmen, microing away when he has low health warrior scouts. I have a friend, he calls the warrior scouts boneless knights. I think it's quite funny. They don't do a lot of damage, but they heal very, very quickly, kind of like French knights with chivalry. So just use these very aggressively, pull them away so they don't die in these fights here. And then the next fight you take again, you will have full health, they will have low health, and you'll be doing much better. So this is a way to maximize your warrior scouts efficiency. Alright, so we're still making cows. We're going to go up to 12 cows. And if you're playing against 2DC, go up to like 18 cows, maybe 20. I recommend just going 18 cows in ranches. And then the last 2 ones you can just eat. So that's a way for you to definitely prolong your safe food economy here. So you can gather more with a few villagers, and that's going to give you higher income than if it's just passive. Because the cows have a really high gather rate for Malians. I think it's about the same as a boar, so about 0.8. But don't quote me on that. It's just about that number, if I'm not mistaken. So you do get a lot of gather rate from cows. Notice how he's now making archers, as he's seeing the spearmen. He's making sofa. You can do this in the castle age if you want to, and just play standard Malians that way. Or you can play this out the way that Louis is doing it right now, by trying to find value, and then making that value extend further by just getting a couple of archers to counter the spears. Getting blacksmith for +1 ranged attack and ranged armor, and then you can start diving a bit more. In the castle age, you will be going for imported armor instead, which is a great way of just having these 7 armor tanks running around your opponent. That's just an amazing unit in the castle age. So far quite weak in the feudal. They're quite fast though, but low ranged armor makes them quite vulnerable to even archers, and especially longbows like in this situations. Just a really squishy unit in the feudal age that becomes an absolute tank in the castle age. So I do recommend getting sofas and then try to get them to fight more in the castle age over the feudal age. That way you can maximize them. So it's okay to make feudal age units with Malians. You don't have to make Dunzo Jabs all the time. It's a really good idea to make Dunzo Jabs for defensive force if you're fighting against a lot of aggression. Simply because you're just going to constantly get free value from throwing jabs with Dunzos. And javelins, of course, having a lot of ranged armor, they can just range the opponent outside the TC, inside the TC range. And so your opponent can't really take good trades every time you fight. And if you're doing a poke, then you are always going to get a little bit more damage than your opponent will. So there's that style, and then there's playing the sofa style here with warrior scouts, which is very effective as well if you have the micro for it. If you don't have the micro for it, be careful with not just losing control of your units. I could say that about anything in this game, just don't lose control of anything. So with that in mind, pick your style. Playing passive in your base is probably easier if you are lower rated, but you should definitely learn this at some point if you're looking to get better with Malians. Just be very aggressive, be active, split your units out to get that vision that you need. Force units out from your opponent and counter those units with archers. Now, here in the back, at about 11 minutes, this is a typical age up time we see a lot of pros go for. That 12-minute castle age timing, where it seems like so many pros are just always going for 12 minutes. It's so funny. Try to pay attention to that next time you watch a tournament game. So yeah. Now, about 11:30 here, he's going to take 15 bills. He's going to build a Fulani Corral. This will buff up his cows, give him more food. And I think that's kind of funny about cows is you don't actually have to have them in ranches to get value from them. So if you are just having 18 cows in the ranches, I recommend just having 2 cows ready here. You don't have to kill them immediately, because they will also generate extra food by just being under the Fulani. More harassment coming through, of course. Now we're going next to H. And notice the macro will change a lot here. So these food bills here, they will not go back to food. We're getting a lot of food from the branches here. 82 from these, and this will, of course, be buffed up. So all cattle provide 20 more food per minute. That means it becomes about 100 food, 140 food per ranch. And then, of course, you should always get the tier 1, 2, and 3 food upgrades, because it buffs up the cows as well. Alright. Stable, archer range. Double archer range here, and then of course getting into mosque, and then now it's just going to be 30 on wood. So he takes all these food bills in a moment, and then puts them all on the wood. Just that right about now. There we are. Thank you. All right, so mosque coming through. He's going to start taking relics. His opponent just got up to the next stage as well. Now he's just looking around, scouting. He sees his opponent is extending north. And of course, that's his main base here, this way. Couple bears in the front. And so now the fun game of Malians harassment begins. You're going to have sofas. Now, I wouldn't prioritize immediately getting the imported armor if you don't have a lot of sofas. Get a few of them out first. There's only 10 out right now, so it could be an idea to get them now. Get this upgrade, imported armor. But yeah, just get the +1 ranged attack for your archers, then get poisoned arrows later, and of course imported armor. Imported armor is probably the most important one. Notice this, he's put his warrior scout here on the first relic to try to deny that from his opponent. With this visibility of his opponent's army, he's now attacking from the north side instead, and that forces his opponent to go north, and thus he also gets some kills here. And that means this entire top side is probably pretty undefended unless there's some defensive spears. So be active. Control your opponent's army movement this way. Just always attack, attack, attack. Now don't take bad fights, of course. You want to keep building up a force. Here he's going to find a lot of damage from killing these villagers. Sofas are incredible at raiding, so don't forget to do that a lot. Never idle your army. So yeah, he moves back. Doesn't need to take any unnecessary risks. Try to get a few more villager kills. Sees his opponents move out here. And is going to try to deny this relic unsuccessfully, but it's still very good effort here. You can do this with one warrior scout if your opponent doesn't bring units. Now he knows his opponent's position up here. He can move there if he wants to. He's also built a 3rd pit mine, and he's maxed out on cows here. 2 here not in the ranches. Getting tier 2 food gathering. Getting imported armor now at 14.5 minutes. And just keep scaling production. More stables. And then later on more archer ranges as well. As for upgrades, he's getting +2 ranged armor now. And has tier 2 wood gather. And I bet he also has... He doesn't have the mining upgrade. This is a good one to get as well if you're going to have a lot of villagers on gold like this. So I say usually tier 1, get them if you have 10 vills on gold. Tier 2 if you have 20. Tier 3 if you have 30 vills. A little bit more harassment coming through here. All of this is idle time. And it's attacked. He's attacked on multiple angles here. So this is really, really good control. Nice little relic grab there. So really good control of this multi-raid here that he's doing. While he's building up his archer count. He doesn't have poison arrows yet. Question is, does he need it when he's up against longbows and spears? If he's up against a lot of armored units, getting poison arrows is really, really good. But if he's not up against a lot of armored units, it's not as important. Because you'll be doing bonus damage to spears, and the longbows are unarmored. So your archers already do plenty of damage. 3 more on top of 9 damage, not so much. Whereas if you're doing, let's say, what would that be? If he had 6 ranged armor, it would be about 3 damage. That would be double the damage to an armored unit then, because you would do an additional 3 damage over time with poison arrows. So, get poison arrows if you're up against armored units. Here there's a couple of cataphracts, and they have that 6 ranged armor. But if there's not too many of them, it's not a big a deal. You're just going to be killing spears and longbows instead. You can even switch into full Musifati warriors and sofas if your opponent is running mainly men at arms and knights, for example. It could be a really good idea. Yeah, other compositions would be javelins if you played a lot of spear javelin in the feudal age, and then going into Farumba and getting Manso javelineers. That adds poisoned javs, and that's a really, really good way of dealing with armored units too. Now we have the first engagement here. The main priority when you play Knight Archer style, which is basically Sofa Archer here, is you're going to try to take out as many spears before your Sofas engage. So while he's doing that, and this is what's so good about LoueMT playing, is he will try to kill all these spears slowly. He doesn't really care too much about his archers. You don't really have to, because your Sofas are your main combat unit. But you need the archers to kill spears. That's literally the only reason you make them. You kill the spears so that your Sofas can fight. Once the spears are gone, you pull all of your Sofas from all of these positions here where he's attacking, and then you kill the rest of the army. So notice right now, he doesn't have all his Sofas here. He's raiding, and this is, first off, very good because his opponent's playing infantry and is far away. But then once he's killed the spears, he will take those Sofas and run them back, and then wipe the rest of the army. That's a really, really good tactic when you play Knight Archer, and it's something you have to replicate if you're going to play against somebody who's playing very defensive. You're going to have to attack from multiple angles, take out the spears, and then come back around and swoop up the rest of the force. Yeah. Also Sofa, everywhere. Just being super annoying, fighting so much damage. Let's take a look at the villager kills. You can see 15 villager kills for Louis, and the income is... it's way more for LoueMT. So now we're going to go and watch this fight here. So here... I'll switch to Louis' perspective. Did I do that? There we go. So... Now, still on pocket resources, not really eating any cows, didn't pro scout ever, just on the deer. Now he's coming back around with most of his units. Still raiding, right? Still gotta find that damage, sending 1 archer to the north. And now he's gonna go take the big fight. He's got full upgrades almost. He's got +3, +4. And then some 1 melee damage. Wonder where... Yeah, so he's getting that 1 melee damage from the blacksmith. And now his opponent has all of his army here. He can then swoop back around with 35 Sofas. This is where the numbers really escalate and become so difficult to deal with for Marine Lord. These aren't just knights, these are Sofas. So much armor. They have 7 armor, which is 1 more than normal knights in this age. The only other civ I believe that can do that is OCD and HRE with Inspired Warriors giving 1 more armor. And yeah, I guess Mindbag as well can give you a lot. So you can get 9 armor on your Inspired Knights with HRE. But yeah, absolute cleanup here, even though it could probably have looked really good for Marine Lord, it didn't. Just really good positioning here from Louis. So it's such a beautiful style. I love it. And if you are a Malian player or want to become one, I recommend playing this style out when you're up against TTC, and switching to spear and jab if you're playing against more aggressive opponents. Yeah, this game is nearly over. Now it's just about finishing it, and that means we gotta burn down a bunch of buildings while our opponent is retaliating. Or trying to. You can see this is quite a small army. Just longbows, they don't really do too much to sofas. There's some nasty lance connects in here, but the archers are here to deal with it. The same with the spearmen. Again, that's the whole reason we have the archers. Did we ever get poison archers? Yes, we did. And of course we have tier 2 of everything, but the mining upgrade. I really recommend getting that one. A bit closer than I probably had to be here. But we're still very far ahead. Army value is 3 times the size. And that is the very efficient, most efficient way to play out this type of situation with Malians. Of course, also raiding down here. And that's the game. If you have any questions to this type of style or Malians in general, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. I will of course post a build order from this video in the description. And don't forget to check out YouTube memberships and my coaching if you are interested. There's some info about that in the description as well. Take care everyone. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.